You've got real problems, Nora. But that's what I love about you.
This episode is exciting. And it's exciting for so many reasons, Mr. C. Do you know why?
Is it? Why?
Because today we talk about the chicken incident.
The chicken incident, the notorious chicken incident. I feel like you've hyped this up too much. I feel like people are going to be disappointed when they hear the actual story.
What the heck, Mr. C? You can't start an episode like this
We can start an episode however we want because this is the reels, all right? We're giving them the real. Let's see what happens.
You really think they're not going to like it?
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Now I'm like insecure. Not okay. Okay,
it's all right. Let's just go with it. How would you act if you were secure? Boom.
Can you just turn it off? This isn't your Be Good podcast. This is the Other Americans.
Okay.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, scorpions, if you will. Today, we talk about DHS days and the chicken incident. Mr. C, I have prepared a slideshow. Okay. And this is okay. Let me share my screen because y'all not ready for this. You're not. Oh wait, hold on. I should make it.
Nor has footage.
I do have footage. Okay, I should just do my full screen, right? I feel like this makes sense.
And I have not seen this, so I'm very interested what she put on her slideshow.
Okay. Oh wait, no! You saw too much.
All right.
Okay.
The chicken incident. All right.
The chicken incident by Noor Sultan. And I just want you to know we have two primary sources who were involved in the incident who have personally been in contact with me. And they were kind enough to share their point of view of how the situation started. But before we dive into the chicken incident, I thought it would be great to just reminisce about the old campus. Because it's, you say all the time you miss the old campus. And
100%. Yeah. We have a new beautiful campus. Yeah. But I miss the old campus. Yeah.
What was like your favorite thing about the old campus though? Like why do you miss it? Like what was it about the old campus?
So when we talk about the old campus had been there, or they started building it like in in the 40s. The first buildings on there had been, built in the 40s.
Right.
And then it wasn't a purpose-built school. It was just basically, as it was a school, they added different buildings throughout the years. So it was kind of a mismatch little campus.
Yeah.
Which I felt gave it some character. I kind of like that feel, that it was just like, looks like it had been thrown together. And maybe that's because I'm mixed and I like things that look mixed together. I don't know. Right. But, could be. But the other thing is that the campus it made it difficult for an administrator.
Right.
But I also liked it. The campus was so spread out because there were no, for the majority of the campus, there weren't hallways. You had to go outside to get to your next class.
Yeah.
And so the campus was a sprawling campus. And the high school portion of it, there were three schools technically. There was the high school, there was the elementary middle school.
Wait. Okay, you're starting too fast. We're gonna cover that.
What? Okay, sorry. Well, so I'm just telling you what I miss about the old campus. I miss the outside, the kind of the spread nature of it. Joffrey's, the coffee shop that was on there, which was really cool. And man, the lower gym of Dhahran High School, the lower gym was one of my favorite places to go in the morning. It was just, I love the energy. I love to go in there. And yeah, man. So yeah.
We're going to talk about all of those things that Mr. C loves within this podcast. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a fun ride. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I prepared today. Because not all of our viewers are necessarily DHS students or former DHS students. They don't really know what is DHS. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the day in the life of a DHS student and a DHS administrator. Because I feel like while there was a schedule for DHS students, I feel like admin also had a really interesting time dealing with the DHS students as well. So yeah, and then we're gonna talk about hashtag JustScorpionThings, things that I've talked about with my friends or that have come up in my memories as I've begun to make this slideshow. And then we're gonna go to the Instagram, which you guys have sent in answers or like questions and stuff or memories, and we're just gonna go through that. And then we'll talk about the chicken. So if you just want to hear the chicken story, you can like skip to the later half of this video, but we're here to reminisce. So
Sure.
Dahran High School. What is DHS? Mr. C, do you want to like talk about these images that I put here? Like, what do you see?
So, God, I don't know. Most of these images are completely confusing.
What?
I see a chicken there.
Okay, ignore the chicken. This is a chicken-themed slideshow, by the way, because it's all about the chicken incident. But ignore the chicken.
I see an eagle with. So the DHS, the old campus was connected to the U.S. consulate. Yes. So the U.S. consulate, well, we shared a wall with the U.S. consulate, and so to get onto the old campus was also, it took a while because you had to pass through so much security, and there were walls around it and everything else. Then,
okay,
what is that? Is that?
I'm gonna. That's the dead queen. Rest in peace.
Why is that for the British school?
Yeah.
So, there was a British school.
So Dahran High School shared a campus. So there was the Dahran High School. It was an international American school, hence
that's right.
The flag. Okay. And then
between 40 and then also we have between 40 and 50 nationalities at the school. So
hashtag diversity. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we had the British school, which was like on the other side of campus that we didn't really interact with them on a daily basis. It was more when we had transportation stuff that we would interact with the schools. And then we also shared the high school, Dahran High School, with actual local Saudis, like Saudis who lived around the area. We had a couple princes and princesses on campus.
But only 5% of our population was Saudi. It was
it was very minimal, and they weren't even American. Yeah. So I think it was just whatever. And then I remember like children on campus. Like there was like a pre-K, and then there was also to like a middle school. I don't even know, but there were just children everywhere as well.
That was that was DIMS. That was the Dahran Elementary Middle School, and they were K through 8. Yeah.
So imagine this. An American high school, a British high school, and then
British K through 12.
British K through 12. Sorry, British K through 12, and then the DEMS middle school, and then wasn't there also like a daycare center on campus or something?
There was, yeah. Little Learners daycare center on the campus.
Even tinier fetuses on campus, and then Saudis as well. So this campus was gigantic, but it was also. There were just so many people. Like there were so many freaking people all the time, and it was a scheduling nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, it was, and we had a teacher who came from Minnesota, and his town had 2,000 people on it. 2,000 people in his town, from a small town.
Wow!
And on any one day, there were almost 3,000 people on the campus. You know what I mean? So it was like. So he would say, he goes, that this campus is literally, there's more people on this campus each day than there were in my entire town when I grew up.
Yeah. And no one liked the American school, in my opinion. I think that it was, and let me tell you why. It bleeds into the day of a life of a DHS student. And when I say no one liked us, I meant like the high school teenagers. Yeah. So let's talk about the mornings at Dahran High School. Like Mr. C said, it's like 2,000-ish, 3,000-ish people fitting through one entryway in the morning.
Yes, there was one dude. It was like a choke point, and everybody had to come through that one gate and that one opening. And yeah, man, it was in the morning. It was always, people pouring through that one entrance, and then on the way out, it was the same. Yeah.
Let me just give you an idea of what that looks like. This is like the newer models of the entryways, but we were all shoved into this like tiny entry point, and it was so stupid because we had to show our IDs every single morning, and these high schoolers always forgot them. Like, I personally lost and forgot all of my IDs every single time. And the teachers, the administration would have to come and reprimand us. You would have to do that, right, Mr. C?
Well, it wasn't me. So when I got there, there was another AD who, she loved that job.
She did?
And well, I mean, yeah, she'd go there and bust people. I don't know if you remember, but if you forgot your ID for a while, they used to force kids to stay in this like room. There was a room on the side. They would force people to stay there. Yeah, and even though we knew those kids, even after they've been going to school there for like 50 days or it's 2 years. I know this kid, and I remember a student in particular. She called me. She had my number because my number was on my email. So my work phone number, since the only phone I have is my work phone, it was on my email stamp, and she had actually put my number into her phone for her work phone. And she called. She goes, "Could you please come get us out of here? There's no air conditioning in this room. Can you please help us?"
Oh my God!
I had to go out there, because they would hold them until someone came down.
Right.
And if that person wasn't coming down, or they were busy, or they couldn't get in contact with them, the kids would be just sitting there waiting until someone identified them as being actual DHS students. And yeah, that was the process.
It felt like, okay, and I understand because there's a consulate right next door.
Yeah, and so we had security stipulations we had to follow. That's right.
We were all treated like a threat. Like, we were all security threats, and we were put into shame boxes every morning. Okay.
It does seem so bad when you think about it, but yeah, it's what they wanted to do, what they implemented, to get it done. That was not usually my duty. I don't know if people remember. I was the one who, I didn't mind the lower gym. I liked being in the lower gym. Yeah. So I would be in the lower gym. That was me.
Which brings us to the lower gym. So once you go past the gate and you go through the tunnel, the iconic tunnel, where is it? Through this tunnel walk the finest students in the world. You would pass that tunnel every single day. And then you would either go to the lower gym, which is, in my opinion, chaos. Like, I understand the vibes that you appreciate because it's so lively, but as a student, I was so overstimulated in the morning.
Oh, I could imagine. So we got to kind of explain for those who wouldn't know. The lower gym was one large gym. I don't know if you have a picture of it that could that you could blow up so people could see.
Here, this is the lower gym. It's dark because I went when it was post-COVID.
Oh, okay. Oh, when it was all shut down, everything.
Yeah. So this is it's a huge gym. By the way, hate that color that they painted it.
So if you look, yes. So basically, this large hall here, the kids would just get onto those kind of bleachers and they would sit there. Yeah. And most of the time, depending on the time of the year, there'd be volleyball nets out there, or people be playing basketball.
So this area would be for volleyball. and
then people be playing 3-on-3 basketball, right? In those areas. And yeah, if you were the kind, so as a kid, if I had ever gone to that school, that's where I would have been every day. I would have been in the lower gym because that was like, I like that. So then when I went in there, I just liked it because also I got to go around and talk to kids. So if you remember, I wouldn't just stand in one place. I would be going around and just saying, hey, how y'all doing? Saying what's up that morning. Because I always thought it was important to not lose sight of the fact that they're kids, you're younger than me and everything else, but we're all, we're all human beings here. And then what I try to also do is also always be just kind of relatable and get to know kids and show that I'm a human being besides just being an administrator. So that was important to me to be able to get in there and to see as many students as possible in the morning because I knew I wasn't going to be able to see everybody through the course of a day, but it was a great opportunity to see as many kids as possible in the morning.
I remember you like made it such a point to make FaceTime with the students, and you would talk to us all the time, and we would look forward to it. Like it was like, oh, Mr. C is here, it was like a fun part of the morning. But what I remember was these brown boys in this basketball league. They thought that they were like professional NBA players all the time. Like it was so serious in the morning. Okay, like like they were too. Sometimes they would be like, people would get heated, and I'm like, it's 7 a.m.
No, man, they'd be ready to go, and they played hard. They would play basketball hard, and it was a big deal. And I had changed the rules, so I made like Caldwell 3-on-3 rules that they had to follow in the lower gym after I got there for a bit. Because the games would take too long because these professional feeling NBA players would be missing and we'd never get to the end of the game, right? Or people would dribble. So I had said it was 3 minutes to 3 points, right? So each game you have 3 minutes to get to the first person to three. And if there was a tie or no one had gotten, it was sudden death. And so, basically you had to score. And so that actually increased the intensity of the games, I think, but it made it so that people could cycle through. And then the other thing I did was when I got to DHS, they had one side of the court was for 11th and 12th graders, and 9th and 10th could only be on the other side of the court. And I made it kind of a meritocracy. You could play wherever you want if you're good enough. And the reason I did was because when my son came in at 9th grade, he was a pretty good basketball player. So he didn't have he could play easily and work some of the kids who are 11th to 12th grade. So I was like, hey, if you can play, you might as well go ahead and play. And they were really serious, and they would get bent out of shape about that 3-on-3.
Yeah, it was a lot, Mr. C, by the way. Like it was just too much sometimes. And then,
I really enjoy. I miss it. It's actually the thing I miss the most, actually, about, with this new campus. There's not a place where we can all congregate. There's not a place where we can all kind of get together and just see each other and socialize in the morning. Everybody's kind of spread out. I liked that feeling of being able to see a lot of kids at once. But I understand it was probably overstimulating to some of you.
Yeah, I mean, also, oh God, don't look. Okay, but it's also because they smelled so bad for the rest of the day. They smelled like booty cheeks. They smelled like they smelled so bad. And it was horrible to sit next to these stinky, sweaty boys at like 8:30 in the morning. I was like,
there were some ripe fellas.
Oh my God. It was like they just wiped garbage all over their body and just went to class. Like it smelled like that. Let's talk about the volleyball, because volleyball was also kind of lethal, but not in the stenchy way. It was lethal in the way that people would actually get hit in the head so many times.
Dude.
If you were sitting on the bleachers, you were screwed.
Man.
You were absolutely screwed.
Dude, that was one of the most nervous. That was the volleyball. And then also you remember sometimes kids would try to play football in there. They would try to play football in there sometimes. Yeah, sometimes they would try to kick balls around and stuff like that.
In the back,
right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes like a ball would just come flying and you'd just be sitting there, everybody just laughing, and then bam, hit them in the head. And I was like, oh no, I feel so bad. And then people are serving really hard. And it could be lethal to those who are just standing around. But the volleyball had like an interesting vibe. The 3-on-3, seemed really competitive and really like, get this. The volleyball seemed to be more like a friendly kind of thing. The people who were playing volleyball seemed to be like joking around and kind of having an okay time and stuff like that during the course of the year. So yeah, it was a little different vibe in that way as well. However, sometimes the ball would fly off and nail a kid in the head or something like that.
There was this one time, my dear friend, I'm just going to name drop her, Sanaya. She got hit in the face and her glasses like broke and it like hurt her eye. And she had to like go home that day because she had like to wear an eye patch. And the person who did it ran away and didn't apologize. And I was searching for them in the lower gym because I was like, this is wrong. Just apologize and walk away. Like she's going home anyways. And then my other friend who was like protecting his buddy from me was like, no, he's too scared. He's too scared to apologize.
What? It's so interesting to me. Well, why not just apologize? Wouldn't you just feel bad? You wouldn't like apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I guess, I don't know. I guess I was really mad and I was like,
little Noor coming at you, man. You don't want to do that.
Hey. Right. I was told multiple times during my high school years that I was so intimidating to guys. They would tell me all the time that they were scared.
Okay. Maybe you gave probably too much attitude. You probably were too outspoken. Sometimes that gets dudes a little bit taken aback if they're not used to that.
Yeah, God forbid I speak my mind. Okay.
Hey man, Layla, my daughter, she said that because someone asked her at her going away after her graduation party, someone asked her what was like the best piece of advice you ever got from your dad, and Layla, she said that when she was in middle school, one of the best pieces of advice I told her, she should always say what she thinks, and she should not be intimidated by boys because about 70% of the time, boys are just talking loud, even though they don't know what they're talking about. So they're feigning confidence, even though they're not really sure what they're saying is true. But what they want to do is like say it loud and say it like with vibrato, and then it makes ladies back down. So I just told her, don't back down. And if something's stupid, it might be. So challenge it and speak your mind.
Yeah, sure. 100%. And I was fighting for my life all the time because all of these boys always thought that they were right for some reason. There was like there was no evidence to back anything up, but you know, they just really did their own thing. Anyways, the boys will be boys. But this brings me to the point where I was saying like people didn't really like the high schoolers from DHS because if you weren't in the lower gym, you were standing outside the LRC, not inside the LRC, because we weren't exactly welcome there. We were just standing. Everyone was just standing around the language rooms, or if you weren't in the language room courtyard, you were in Joffrey's. But there was like a divide in, I would say freshman to sophomore year for me, at least, where the seniors had priority in Joffrey's. So other people couldn't really go in unless you had like senior priority. So you were just standing outside the LRC, and sometimes people would get noise complaint. Like we would get noise complaints about us, and then teachers would get mad if we were just loud. And I was like, where are we supposed to go? Like we had nowhere to go. If you weren't in the lower gym, you were just nowhere else on campus or everywhere else.
Yeah, it was difficult because well, you're a huge bunch of teenagers, you know, and your teenage years, your adolescent years, like nothing you guys are doing, and nothing teenagers currently do is different. It's always the same because you're all going through like the same developmental processes, right? And everything else. And so it's interesting because people forget that. They get annoyed, and teenagers do cross the line, and they think kind of about their own self and don't think enough about how it appears to others or how you're like people go in the Joffreys. We should be able to go in Joffreys, do what we want, but they're being loud and you're messing it up for everybody else who's trying to have a nice quiet time when they drink their coffee, right? A library is supposed to be quiet. A library is actually meant to be a place where people can go and read and sit down and relax if they want. It's not supposed to be a place where you put your feet up, relax and talk and laugh and everything else. But so these kids have this expectation. And the funny thing is probably you. How old are you, Noor?
22, turning 23.
Put you in that same situation at this age, you're devastatingly annoyed at your own self and many of the kids who are around there, right?
100%.
So it's hard because you try to explain these things to an adolescent, and you're going to have to say the same thing over and over and over again. I think you mentioned it one time. I was telling you the thing about school is that you keep getting older as an educator, but the kids stay the same age.
Yeah.
You know, every year you come back, they're still 14, they're still 15, they're still 16, they're still 17. So whatever progress they made, you're going to start all over again at the next year. And yeah, so it's like Groundhog Day, but Groundhog Year for teachers as they go, you know, which I think is why it's such a stressful and a tough job, because you have to say the same things over and over and over again.
But, you know, I just wanted an area to just be in the morning. And so then I started to do was just go to the B buildings in the morning and hang out with the administration. And I would hang out with Mr. Sallings in the morning. I'd be like,
oh. Teachers. Yeah. Because some teachers were down with that. Some teachers were okay with kids coming in early and hanging out in their classroom.
Yeah. But that B building was ready to fall apart if a strong wind ever blew.
Yeah. You remember, I could hear everything that was happening upstairs. My office was downstairs, but I could hear every piece of motion. There were sometimes I'd be in my office, I'm like, please, kid, don't jump any harder or whatever you're doing up there, because I didn't want them to come right down the roof, you know. But yeah, you know, I mean, it wasn't a purpose-built school. They built and put up things to get it going. You know what I mean? That's what they were doing.
And that brings me to the C building, which was just cargo ship containers with holes in them for windows and AC.
They were what was called portable buildings.
Those are cargo ship containers, Mr.
They were called portable buildings. No. They were not cargo ship containers. Cargo ship containers would have been a lot more sturdy. These were portable buildings.
I remember, like, I do have footage from it, but like it's somewhere in my phone and I don't have it with me. But I remember seeing those C buildings for the first time and going inside it. And I was like, where am I? Because once you come from the Aramco school and then before that public school in America, like, yeah, the American schools aren't that great, but it's an actual classroom. Like it's a building with walls.
So I want to stop you there. So the thing is, like, it depends on where you are going to public school. Like for me, the portable buildings, that was common. Like we had portables at my schools growing up and everything. Okay. We had portables. Yeah. So a lot of public schools, they don't have all the space. So they put portable buildings outside. And yeah, man. So it depends on where you went to school. But yeah, so like for me, when people were complaining about the portable buildings, it's like, oh, the portable buildings, you know, like,
yeah,
what you do? But
yeah. But then H building, that for me was like a dystopian land of waste. Like those bathrooms were horrid, Mr. C. You cannot tell me that there was, okay, I got locked in that bathroom 3 different times in 3 different grade years because I would open the door. I'll tell you exactly how, Mr. C.
I didn't even know this.
I'll tell you exactly how this happened. I go inside this happened 3 same times. Okay? And let me tell you, I only go to the H building bathroom if it's like an emergency. If I didn't go to the H building bathroom, I just went to the LRC and just went to the bathroom there and went back to the H building. You open the H building stall, right? And you close the door. And once the door closes, you realize there's no handle to open the door. It's just gone. Why are there no handles inside the bathroom stall, but only on the outside? Okay.
Did you ever report it? I mean, obviously, I would never be going into the girl bathrooms, but did you ever report it? Did you ever say anything to anybody?
Oh yeah,
to who?
I wouldn't go to just like the front office. I'd be like, I don't know what to do about this situation, but like, there's no handles. And then and then I would go in, and then I try to find a way out. The first time, thank God I had my phone with me. and I called my friend who was in the same class as me. I'm like, hey, I don't know how to get out of here. Okay. The second time, I took my hijab pin and I finicked with it, and then it like opened or whatever. And then the third time, I just like someone was in the bathroom, but I was literally about to like punch that door open. I was like, hell no, it's like the third time it happened to me. And it wasn't only me. There was another girl who was wearing an abaya, and she got stuck in the bathroom. She didn't have her phone. There was nobody there. And in her abaya, she jumped over the stall to get out of the bathroom. Like,
oh my Lord.
That's crazy. But that's the girls' bathroom. In the boys' bathroom, I heard so many weird stories about how nasty that bathroom was.
Yeah, they smelled. They did smell. And then I remember one kid came to me and was like, could we get shatafs in the bathrooms? Because there wasn't any at the beginning. And we got shatafs put in there for them. But that's what I mean, if we could help, but I hardly heard anything about them, I think people just, I don't know, y'all were dealing with whatever y'all were dealing with, but during my time, the only thing I ever heard about the H building bathrooms was there was a need for shatafs. But I used to have to go over there to check because people would also vape in those bathrooms. And so that was a big thing. I used to have to go over there and check for the boys' bathroom because it was known as a vaping place, a place to go vape.
Yes. We actually had someone send in a story about the bathroom. But this is a DBGS bathroom. Never mind. But it's a story anyway. When I used to relieve myself, I used to stand and look at a dead fly that used to sit on the windowsill in the DBGS gym bathroom. That fly was there the whole time that I was there. For some odd reason. And they were there for 4 years. For some odd reason, it gave me a weird feeling of comfort, knowing that he'd always be there when I looked.
Big up to DBGS, the old British school. I don't know why that fly was there for 4 straight years, and why some other insect didn't come and eat him or something, but there he was.
Thank you.
There's no way that was the same fly for 4 years.
Oh God! Thank you for sharing with whoever that was. Means a lot. So now we're gonna move on to just Scorpion things.
Sure.
Rainy days. Okay. Mr. C is still familiar with the craziness of rainy days because I'm his social media manager. And every time a rainy day happens in Saudi, we get flooded with DMs about, is it still school happening? Is it still school happening?
Yeah. So for those of you who have never lived in the Middle East, it's not really built to handle rain, right? There's not much drainage or anything else. So even a little bit of rain can cause something that looks like flooding, right? I'm from Texas, so we get storms. We have hurricane season, and there's just tons of rain, and we handle it. But in Saudi, if it rains a bit, oftentimes school has to be canceled. And the funny thing is that it floods real quick and then goes away real quick. Mm-hmm. And so you might call a rain day because it's raining in the morning, and by about 10 or 11 o'clock, it's clear skies. Everything seems fine. And so it's like people had a free day or something. Yeah. But no. And every time there was a rain day, people would send me emails. Hey, C, Mr. C, what up with the rain, man? What up with the rain? Hey, C, let's call it. I'm like, I cannot call school, guys. It's not the superintendent has to call the school, right? Because the superintendent of our district, oftentimes if it was one rain day, it was a rain day for everybody. So regardless, so they have to wait until they get the call. But yes, that was a funny thing, because the funniest thing in the world is that also rain days were funny for teachers as well. So I think the funny thing is teachers would get so bent out of shape if there was an assembly or if there was any kind of event that was going to mess with their schedule, right? So if let's say we're going to have this event on Wednesday, you would have some teachers who would be like, hey man, I'm trying to plan here. Like I have this day, I can't miss this class and this is messing this up. God, why are we doing this? Come on, why wasn't this in the schedule way ahead of time or anything like that? But man, as soon as it started to drizzle, hey, are we going to call school? Teachers, hey, are we going to have a day off?
They're just like us. They're just like us.
Man, so I mean, that's the thing is that everybody was looking for that virtual school day until we really did have to go into virtual school for like a year and a half. But that was much later on.
We don't gotta talk about. I won't forget it. but
right,
okay,
senior roast. Oh, wait, terrible thing.
I'm not done with rainy days. Days. Okay. Rainy days were so iconic because the Facebook group DHS News and Notices. By the way, no one checks their email in the school. It was really weird. We didn't have like a centralized system where we would share information about the school, except for DHS News and Notices. So everyone had Facebook.
Actually, hold on, Nor. There was a DHS app. And there was also a DHS website. This is your high school brain just not realizing what you weren't actually using or the emails you weren't reading. Yeah.
That's
crazy. There was a DHS app. There was a DHS website. And we shared emails on all those kind of things. So this is also the annoying part of dealing with high schoolers. Is like, no one tells us anything. But there was all these things available. Yeah.
So, okay.
The first problem, you named it. No one read their emails, so therefore you didn't get the thing on get onto the apps and all that kind of stuff.
And you know what? The thing is though, like when you're in that like headspace or that area, like you don't really need to look at your emails. Like you definitely should, but until you actually go to university and you have responsibility, like you're the sole person responsible for your life at that point, then you're like, oh shoot, I have to check my emails every morning, every day.
No, you know what? That's really nice of you to say, but even many parents don't read their emails either. There's so many times where I get an email from a parent, we didn't know about this, and then I have to forward them the email that was sent a month ago. So don't worry, it's a human thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, teach their own then. But what I loved about DHS was that we had DHS News and Notices, which was a Facebook group. And there were so many alumni. So like every year, people would either give up their like their administrative access to the page and like hand the baton to the next executives of the school. So I was one of the admins because I was like I was in like Stuco and I was like student rep, and then I was really involved with all this stuff. But every single time there was a rainy day, there was always one brown kid. And I say brown because they were always the tech savvy brown kids who would fake an email from Mr. L or Mr. Superintendent and would say that school was canceled. And these poor, naive young freshmen would fall for it every single time. And they were victims. But to be fair, they should know better now. Like, you know what I mean? Like character development. And they'd be like, "Oh my God, there's no school," and then they would like share it, and I'm like, "No, dude, you got bamboozled. You just
technology."
Yeah. And then if it was raining during school, people would go to Joffrey's under the tiny umbrella because again, we weren't really allowed inside sometimes, even when it was raining. So we would all hide under the Joffrey's umbrella area, and everyone would go, "We want a half day. We want a half day." And then they would just scream and shout in the rain for like the whole 10 minutes of like break between first and second period. And then we would just go to class.
What a waste of time. That's what an adult feels. That's what like when you're doing that, you're like, why wouldn't you just sit and like talk with your friends? Or why do you stay out there? Why don't you go to your class? Or why don't you go inside the LRC? Or, I don't know, go to the B building, go somewhere where you're not out in the rain. Like, I don't know, sensible things.
Mr. C, you are overestimating our ability to think properly. And
Oh Lord.
but yeah, this takes us to senior roast. I know you have a lot of feelings about this, so take the wheel, Mr. C.
I thought the senior roast were the most terrible thing I'd ever seen. When I had got there, they were already in, and I ended the senior roast eventually, just because they were, to be funny in a good way, I think takes a lot of maturity and it takes a lot of skill.
Yeah.
And what I just found is that the seniors did not usually have that skill. Nope. And so it just became very personal. And I don't even know why they were implemented or who started them. But I remember getting there and they were, the seniors would come and it was under the guise of a senior breakfast. So first of all, there was this nice senior breakfast. They would put out a nice meal. But then there was always a part of the senior breakfast where they would allow seniors to roast other people. And every year I didn't go to them. I wouldn't stay at them. All I would hear afterwards is that I'd have to deal with the few people who were crying or who had been really hurt afterwards. Yeah. And it was the strangest things. And so as soon as I had any sway, I canceled the senior roast. I ended the senior roast. And there were some people who were mad at me about it. Like there's some students who were like, oh, but I don't think, I mean, there's social media now. So if you want to go and be mean, you go be mean. Right? True. Anything else? I didn't think that there needed to be any kind of school-sponsored event that allowed kids to be clumsily unfunny and just offensive.
Yeah, but it's I think when you became principal for the first time, that was my senior year, 2018 to 2019 school year.
Yeah, I became principal in the middle of the year, if you remember. I became acting principal in the middle of the year. So I think you were a junior actually, or junior or senior. Well, I forget.
So technically you were like my principal, but not in name yet, like not officially.
Sure.
Official capacity.
That's right.
But I remember you canceled it and there were a lot of upset people. And I'm not going to lie, there was a moment in my senior year where I was like, I think I'm going to participate in the senior roast because I had a lot of stuff to say to get off my chest. Mm-hmm. But then when you canceled it, I was like, it's probably for the best. Like, I was like, with all of the stories that I heard from my sister's year, which was like 2017, no. She was like anyways, it was like back way when. Mm-hmm. And then my brother's grade, and then all of my friends who are the year above me, there's always someone who cries. There's always a boy that goes too far. There is always a group of bullies. And I get it. The senior roasts are pretty awful. But then the way that we changed it in our grade, because there's also Ramadan, it was a senior iftar. We ended up doing senior superlatives. Okay. So we had to, but then you made us change the superlatives too, because you're like, these are too mean.
For sure. For sure.
And I was like, okay. So then they had to completely change that. And even when we changed it, there was still a little bit of tension and friction. And actually,
you know what?
Yeah.
I never had a problem with kids being mad at me if I felt they're mad at me because I'm trying to ask them to be their better selves. I never had a problem with that. If you want to be mad, you be mad all you want. But I know you're trying to be mean because you're going through some stuff, right? Mm-hmm. If you were okay, you wouldn't be this mean. So obviously you need to deal with your stuff. So deal with your stuff. Don't make it other people's stuff.
There was this one guy who felt really horrible after the senior roast. This was before you became my acting principal. And he went on this not apology thing, but he went dark on social media and he got really emo. And then he was like, I'm sorry for everything. And it was just
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, all for the best again.
Sure.
But I think the superlative that I got was, what's it called? Most talkative or something? Most opinionated. Opinionated.
Yeah, sure. I think that was true. I think that would have been true.
Yeah. I mean, I have opinions about that, so.
Okay.
Were they wrong?
That's good.
And so, okay, next one I always thought was hilarious because it's just so ridiculous, was grade harassment.
Yeah, we had to make a rule around grade harassment.
That's so funny. Do you know how funny that is? It's so freaking funny. These are nerds. These nerds want the A's so freaking bad that they beg, please, miss, please, I just need an A. Just bump up my grade.
And what would happen is that some people, well, first of all, it makes you really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then the grade harassment would come from, so what we did was the kids would keep harassing. And so, look, one of the things is I would have kids come to me, like kids sending me emails, parents sending me emails. Okay. And so, but the way that I ended up shutting this down was, as a principal, I said, look, there was a rule about grade harassment, but what I said was the best thing ever that happened. It said, okay, guys, I will help you if you feel like you got a grade that's unfair. Mm-hmm. I said, come to me. But the first thing I'm going to ask is, did you do all the assignments that were given to you up to the point of the test? Right. And if you had, I'll help you with and see how we can talk to the teacher. But if you hadn't, don't come. Yeah. Man, it dropped the amount of kids that came to me like 90-something%. Because school is actually pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. School is actually very straightforward. There's a formula for it. And the amount of people who worried about their grades once they got it, instead of doing everything they needed to do beforehand, was pretty ridiculous. So it's funny because they would act like they don't care until it's time. And, oh my God, my parents are going to see this grade. And then it's And then the bad part is then you have the parents come in and the parents have this whole story and you're like, that is not the reality. And you're trying to convince back and forth. And it was tough. It's tough. Yeah, I don't think I've ever asked for a grade bump ever because I was like, I probably deserved the grade that I got. You know what I mean? Like, I knew deep down, I was like, I got to see because I just wasn't doing enough. Do you think it's mostly because the kid doesn't want to face their parent with the grade? Yeah, I think that kids actually don't care about their grades. They just care about what happens because of their grades. And it's just like, it's tough to deal with at home because it's like, if you did do all the work that you were supposed to do, then maybe you could have gotten a good grade. But then there are also just sometimes where you're like, at that point of the year where you're like, I have so many assignments and I just feel stuck. Like, I can't even bring myself to do anything. I'm just so tired. And then that would happen to me a lot where I'd get burnt out and then I just didn't want to study and I didn't. And I knew that the grade that I got was a reflection of what happened. So I would just be like, okay, I'll just hear the shouting and take. But that's a mature attitude. That's a mature attitude to be like, I didn't do what I needed to do. Yeah. Damn, what do I expect? Versus, oh, no, this teacher is being unfair. This is happening. No. Could you look at this again, miss? What can I do, miss? What can I do? And it's like, no, and so. But I can't say, though, that like, and it was also because I felt really bad for the teachers. Like, because I had so much time that I spent with them. Like, sometimes I would, sounds really lame, but like I would spend lunch with my teachers because I didn't want to hang out with people in my grade. But I would just talk to the teachers all the time. And I'm like, I can't go to any teacher and be like, I deserve a better grade. I felt like that was so mean and entitled. So I just never did it. Yeah. Does that make me a kiss ass? Probably. I don't know. We had to have a grade harassment policy at DHS because it got that bad. And I think, God, freaking nerds. These STEM-focused nerds just want the A's so bad. I think it's hilarious. Would you not have considered yourself a nerd? I mean, you weren't STEM-focused, but you're still kind of a nerd, right? I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'm everything that I make fun of, Mr. C. I'm not excluded. I'm not excluded from any of these things that I've discussed. I was part of it. No. I was deep in the trenches of it. I think the thing also is to realize that, I mean, the school, the high school, just the kids we had, were always just very academically focused in general. Yeah. I mean, I used to tell people, you come to DHS, you can catch smart. Is that because you come to DHS and maybe at your old school, you know, it was funny to not do anything, or it was funny to mess up in class. It wasn't funny at DHS. It wasn't really cool to not do good at school. No. I mean, people were serious about it. So you naturally, your peer group, even the people who we were like, oh, they're a little annoying, or they cause a little bit more trouble than other kids, they're still AP students. They were still in AP classes and, you know, stuff like that. So they still worried about how they did in school, you know? Yeah.
And it's so funny because the jocks, like, you can't call it an American school. There's no American culture really present. It's an international school. And so, there's 100% American culture present, but we'll get like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like school spirit was not really present because it wasn't a priority at all. Like, it wasn't a priority to have fun and just kind of like dive into being a kid, you know? Yeah. And it was very lackluster, I would say. And but what happened a lot is like the jocks are also the people who get straight A's. And then for sure. The degenerates, or not degenerates, but the people who do, you know, not so good stuff, they're also the straight A students. But we also, because we maintained, you had to be able to get certain grades to even perform, like to do extracurriculars. You couldn't be on a academic contract or anything like that if you were, and still be on our teams, right? So it wasn't really, we had really high expectations at DHS. I mean, we held to a pretty particular standard, which was not a public school type. It wasn't a public school vibe. It was definitely, you come to this place to get stronger academically and perform. And I think a lot of our kids, our alumni, the vast majority of them say when they left DHS, college classes seemed easy. Yeah. Which is what we wanted to happen and stuff like that. Yeah. Nerds. Okay, and then meme page. Okay, do you remember the meme page, Mr. C? I don't know if you were here for this. I remember there was memes about me. I remember there was a bunch of memes about me at one point in time because of Vape Gate. Okay, wait, no. I'm not even talking about that yet. I'm talking about. Okay. Was it like steel beam? Dank memes and steel beams or something like that. I remember that. I have to ask you, why did that kid get suspended when it wasn't even his fault? I don't remember what you're talking about. Who got suspended for what? You don't remember? Okay, I don't remember. So there was a meme page and the admins I think they were people from my grade. I'm not sure. But you know, they were part of like that they were well known in the school and they were funny. They were good memes. And there was this one picture of a kid and he was posing like this, but like his hand was like doing this at the bottom of his elbow. And it looked like he was doing like a gang, like a gun sign. And then someone posted that and said, oh, he's like they did like a school shooter joke, right? But it wasn't the kid who made that joke. It was somebody else. But that kid got suspended because of it. It was one of the most confusing things ever. I don't want to say because I don't really remember. That's fine. The incident. But I think that I do know that during that time, we had gotten a head of security guy that was doing this whole like audit, right? And so they were doing this audit and making sure our security process were done. So anything like that, they probably would not have taken as a joke. It needed to be treated seriously if you were making jokes about school shooters and stuff like that. Yeah. Because at that time there was like a high tension and thought process. Because you remember that was kind of when in the States school shootings had started jumping off, right? Yeah. And stuff like that. And now it's sadly in the States, it's just like, oh yeah, another school shooting. Yeah. But at that time, and so it might have been like the heightened sensitivity of the time period, and then they were like, we need to show that this is no joke, right?
and everything else. That's it.
So I ended up befriending the guy who got suspended, and there, like, I would just felt really bad for him because I was like, I don't know why this kid got suspended when he didn't even make the meme. And then obviously the meme page got shut down, and people were called into the office, and there was talks about the meme page on Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it was called. Was it called Dank memes? Am I right? I don't know.
It was Dank memes and steel beams or something.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that particular thing. Yeah. But you know what? It also is. It could have been also my lack of understanding, as you know, because we just started working with each other on like social media stuff. Like, what are they doing? I don't know. Like
that would have been completely out of your realm, honestly. If I think about it, sure. Like you would have been like, I don't know what this means. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Next page. This is all like fun stuff. Well, the first two at least. Int'l days, international days. I think they were goated. Like literally the best day of the year. I don't think anybody 100%. Ever. Like, if you missed International Day, you only missed because you were severely sick or like a family emergency. Everyone always went to International Day. And even the teachers loved it too. Like, everyone was just so happy.
Favorite day of the school year because it was just awesome. It was just a nice time where we celebrate everybody's culture. People dressed up in their traditional clothing from their countries. It's still to this day. I mean, we had an International Day this year at ASD. Just favorite day of the year. It's awesome.
Yeah. I always love the fashion show and talent show. Like those are so fun. And
those are really cool.
And it carries out through the whole day that even people will stay after school, even like when the buses leave, just so that they can take pictures with their friends and everyone who's still there. And like, oh, it's just so cute. I loved International Day. I got really nervous though, because in my senior year I was the MC for
I remember.
And then I said New Mexico twice. It felt so bad. I still think about it sometimes. Haunts me in my dreams.
Don't even remember. Didn't even notice. Look at that.
Yeah, it's fine. And then Wow Week. I thought Wow Week. I've been trying to remember what Wow Week stands for because I forgot.
It's supposed to be Week Without Walls.
Oh, right.
Week Without Walls. And so that's just international traveling. But we only ever had, like, that was the weird thing also about DHS compared to other schools I had been at. At other schools I'd been at, Wow Week was for everybody. Everybody did something on Wow Week, right? But in Saudi, pretty much only international trips. So it was only people who could afford it, really.
Yeah.
And so you had always around 200 students headed out. But then that meant there was like 400 students who were still back on campus. You had to figure something out to do with them. And it was weird because it was non-curricular, but you couldn't get parents to support. So oftentimes parents would keep their kids home or not have their kids come to school. And so Wow Week was, I think for the kids' perspective, for those who went on trips, like when my kids went on trips during Wow Week, they always loved those trips and got a lot out of them. I was always back on campus. So I was like, oh, Lord. We would try to put something together and then we just wouldn't get the support from, enough kids showing up or parents sending their kids to school, what have you.
Sorry, but it's a waste of time. Like there's so many kids that are gone and then the teachers don't really want to like do too much content because they're going to miss what's like other kids
so
are
they
going to
just
miss.
Kind of. They're supposed to be doing like kind of like enrichment activities. You put a course together, stuff like that. But it was just we never quite got it solid. Even this year, we still struggle with it. And so that trying to like, what do we do on campus that actually kids would be, and parents would be feeling like, hey, let me send my kid and are engaged in.
It's so like the campus is so quiet, and you realize like especially if your friends, most of your friends are gone, man. That's sad. Like sometimes it's just really disappointing because you're just trudging your feet through the school and you're just like, God, it's a ghost town. I have nothing. There's nothing to do. And
clubs and elections.
Okay. I thought that people took clubs and elections so seriously. And I was one of those people. I was definitely one of those people. And
they did, man.
And it was so serious that you couldn't have more than one executive position in like multiple clubs. Like if you were an exec in one club, you couldn't be an exec in another club. And there was this one year where someone had more than one executive position, and there were like so many complaints, and people were not happy about it.
Yeah. Because you're taking up the spots, and most of the kids, they're all trying to get into college, so they all want an executive position because it looks good on their transcript, and so it's really competitive that way. Yeah.
And also, like, these clubs are kind of demanding if you're an exec, because you have to plan stuff. Like, there's always stuff to do, and then if you're stretched out in that one club, you're not really going to the other club's meetings because they're all happening at the same time. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. I just never saw anything like it. There's a movie called Election where this girl is like, she's obsessed with becoming senior class president. And there's a teacher who doesn't like her and tries to like keep her from being the senior president, stuff like that.
Oh, wow. And
it's ridiculous, right? And I remember when watching it when I was younger, I was like, man, there ain't people who actually take that stuff that seriously. And then I got to DHS and I was like, oh my God, the stakes are so low.
Dude, I lost.
But it's life and death for these kids.
I think I was such a horrible person during that time because...
Dude, friendships would break up over these things.
I did that. I was literally so upset because like when it was like my senior year, we were doing Joseph Musa. He wanted to do like campaigns. He wanted to do wanted to run as president, and he was like, I want you on my team, and we'll be a team, and we'll have a team of like politicians come together, and you'll vote for political parties. And that started
big up to Joseph Musa, wherever he's at, man. I hope he's doing well.
He was a revolutionary, in my opinion. But he really changed the dynamic during that time, because then people were in groups running together at that point, and strength in numbers and all that stuff. But because some of my friends were in other parties, dude, I was trash talking really badly. Like, I admit that I was
shame.
Dude, it's so embarrassing when I think about it, because I'm like, it's not that serious.
And the weird thing is like, it's so hard. I think this year actually was a really good year for the senior committee. They finally made a committee. I always wanted the seniors to have some kind of committee where they would come up with some things to do as seniors that were just senior oriented, rather than always trying to say, oh, we got to do a senior prank. We got to do a senior prank, right?
Right.
And they did that. They did like a lot of events. I think like 5 or 6 events this year that were just for seniors. And the school supported it. It was like, hey, do that kind of thing. And so that was really cool. But I feel like also with some of those groups and everything else, it's really hard to fit the dynamic of, and I think the way you get elected though, when you're in high school, and I think it's just an adolescent thing, right? When you're in high school, is you have to seem like you're against the administration, that in some way, shape or form, you're going to do something and versus like, well, can I work with you on something? Right. And it's just interesting because it is annoying, because it's like, I'm not really trying to like, we have other things to do. I'm not trying to get into a battle with council or anything. Like what is it you would like to see that's feasible, and I'll try to help out, But yeah, it was always
okay. But in 10th grade, I wanted this is so embarrassing. I don't know if you remember this, but I was a volunteer for parent teacher night one day, and I was preparing for a rap battle with my now friend Ramis Khan for the position of 10th grade rep. I was outside the seed building pods as people were getting like the info about the school year or whatever, and I was writing bars. And you were like, Noor, what are you doing? And I said my rap to you, and you were laughing so hard. And the next day, Ramiz and I had that rap battle outside the LRC. And honestly, at this point, I don't really know who won because Ramiz almost didn't show up because he was so embarrassed. But I mean, I won as 10th grade rep anyway. But we were so loud. Our grade was so loud that we got a noise complaint, and a teacher came up to me and they were like, really? You had to do that here? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oops. But yeah, it was, I cringe when I think about it because there's still videos. There are still videos.
Oh, really?
Yes. And sometimes they'll pop up on my friends' like memories in Snapchat. And so they'll send it to me. And they'll be like, hey, this was like 6 years ago. Do you remember this? On this day 6 years ago. And I'm like, stop sending me this because I'm going to rip my eyes out. I'm going to rip my eyes out and I'm going to burn them. Don't send this to me.
Oh, man. Pranks. Oh, yeah. The pranks. Yeah.
I didn't really participate in pranks, but what were some pranks that you thought were actually decent? None of them? Wow.
No, I mean, so the year that I took over, I remember the lube one because the year that I took over in the middle of the year, people put lube on the like on doorknobs and stuff, and they were like tape and put like chest ponds in people's classrooms and stuff like that. And I guess I never participated in a senior prank, so I didn't participate in a senior prank when I was in school.
Me too.
Right. So I don't really have the like, I don't know, the why like of I don't know, like because I went to school and it was so weird because like then you would talk to somebody like because of everything we've gone through and what people are putting us through, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's high school.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through high school, like, but yeah, upside down chairs are kind of funny sometimes. Sauce stickers.
Okay.
Were those like posted around places or something? They
posted the sauce stickers like all over campus. And I was actually talking to one of the participants of the chicken incident, and they said that they were actually proud of that prank because like 5 years later, people were still finding the stickers on the campus and stuff like that. So,
okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were. I remember sauce stickers. I remember that. Yeah. Everything else, but yeah, maybe they were. I think the thing is that it goes away. Oh, okay. I do know the prank that I like the most.
Okay.
How could I have forgotten? So my favorite DHS prank was one year. The seniors, I came to work. Mm-hmm. Me and Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns was the AP at the time. Mm-hmm. We came into work and our offices were gone. Everything in our office was gone. Oh. Like came into my office and the entire office was gone. And they had taken all the furniture from our office and set it up on the soccer pitch.
Oh, that's cool.
So therefore, like, I was like, and I walked out and our entire office had been set up on the soccer pitch. So like we went and we sat down at my desk and I was outside. And so everybody could see that me and Mr. Burns were both outside. Our offices were now offside in the soccer pitch. That was the most awesome prank. Because it wasn't mean spirited. It was pretty witty. It was kind of funny. And it didn't impact or inconvenience a bunch of people who had nothing to do with anything. Yeah. I really like that one. That was my favorite one. Well, the group came and they were picking it up like that. So, and then afterwards, the seniors came and they helped the guys get the stuff and then take it back to my office. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I feel like Mosey was cool. Part of the group who did that with another group of kids. But that was my favorite all-time prank. It was witty, right? It was like, that's pretty witty. It was ironic. It was funny. It was not mean-spirited, and it was great. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't participate in the pranks either because they wanted us to come on campus at like 5 a.m. And I was like,
dedication.
I was like, I do not care enough to do this, and also this is lame. Like I was like, I actually felt really bad, and I was putting chairs down. Like after everything happened, I was like helping the teachers put whatever.
Sure.
Anyways, but speaking of pranks, before we move on to the chicken incident prank, we have some honorable mentions that we'll just run through.
Okay.
The fall of NESMA. When we talk about rainy
fall
days,
of NESMA.
Yeah.
Oh yes. That was you mean when
the ceiling collapsed?
The ceiling, yeah, because there was so much rain on the building that it collapsed the roof of the lunch building, and then so for I think it took almost like half a year, we were out of the lunchroom, and that was tough. And everything else.
We were in like the language building areas, and it was just horrible. It was just so tiny. Anyway, red and white sauce, iconic, classic lunch. Yeah. If you were just a white sauce kind of person, I was very confused. Like I never really understood that.
Chicken strips and hummus with me. I got the little chicken strips, and hummus was my thing to go. Hummus and carrots.
I always thought that the spring rolls were underrated, but they were way too expensive. Anyways, I would only get them occasionally. But the Lipton iced tea is iconic. Joffrey's, shout out Ali and Oliver. Big ups to the homies.
They were awesome.
The mint lemonade always gave me the runs, so I never drank it.
People love the cookies though. Joffrey's cookies, man. I remember there was kids who would like buy multiple of those. I was like, I think those are like 500 calories a piece, kids. But you're a teenager, you're going for it. But yeah, and then senior priority for Joffrey's got taken away, and seniors were mad about that. But I was like, actually, some of the 10th graders are better behaved than the Joffreys, right? Yeah. Some of the 11th graders actually were coming here, and I don't know. And it was funny because we had a thing called senior privilege, right? Yeah, and I never kind of heard of that. There was already exemption, which is kind of a senior privilege, right? You get to go where you want to go your senior year.
I forgot about exemption.
But they wanted other things, and it was so weird because it's like, because you're a senior, you want to do what you want to do, or I should be able to get into Joffrey's, and y'all didn't even handle Joffrey's well. Yeah. So I took that away, and I was like, yeah, you could be there on your exemption, but other people can go as well. I don't like, if you haven't noticed, and the people haven't noticed about me, I don't like people thinking that they're hot shit because of their position, their authority, or age, or anything like that. I don't like that at all. I think that if merit is what it's all about. Merit,
just actual a good merit. Principle.
Everything. But,
we only have 1 minute and 30 seconds for this, so let's just run through the last two. Vape Gate.
Bunch of people got caught vaping, and I had to suspend a whole bunch of them, and everyone was trying to find out who the snitch was. I'll tell you, there were multiple snitches. There were lots of them.
I wrote, everyone is a snitch when their parents get involved.
Parents are involved. That's right.
And there was a USB game that people used to play where they would pretend that they had to charge their USB and put it in the teacher's charging port area.
Unsuspecting older teachers had no idea, and they would get taken advantage of. Yeah, that's right.
These are just stuff from the Instagram that I got. I was asking
other scandals.
I was asking them if they thought of other scandals, but honestly, it wasn't that interesting. A lot of them were too specific, and we cannot talk about them.
Okay.
It's not my place to talk about it anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there could be a lot more stories, but I don't think I was ever really involved in that type of area on campus anyways.
Well, and one thing to say is that actually, I remember one time talking to people down, friends back in the States who were still in public school. And they were like, and then family members too. They're like, so as like a principal and stuff like that, what's the worst thing that you had to deal with? With kids doing this crazy stuff. And I was like, well, I busted a lot of kids because they were vaping. caught a lot of kids because they were like, vaping in the bathrooms and stuff like that.
God.
And they were like waiting. They were waiting for like, they're like, is that it? It's like, yeah, and everything. And some kids skip school or they skip their class, but usually you find them trying to study for some other class. That's why they skipped. And, it's like the DHS is that we've been blessed with kids who are they're not hood. They're not like real gangster or bad or anything of the sort. They thought they were.
They really thought that they were.
I don't know, or pretended to be. But no, I mean, in general, we've had just great students, and I feel really lucky to have worked at DHS. And, every kid goes through things, right? And all kids are going through stuff, and they're adolescents and they're teenagers, and they're going to push the limits. But we've had an exceptional bunch of kids over the time.
100%. And I will say this is all very private school behavior. Like everything that we've gone through on this list so far is what like Mother Nature, Facebook, and like it's just like the cafeteria stuff. Like I don't think it's anything to write home about. But
no. But actually, it seems really mundane as we go through this stuff. It seems really like, wow, this is really mundane. This is not really that crazy.
I compare. So there's like on Instagram, they'll be like, what is the incident that happened in your school that everyone talks about? And I was reading through the comment sections, and theirs is like crazy. Like someone made a bomb in the sink and it like flooded the whole bathroom and all this stuff.
Someone beat up a teacher, or, stuff like that.
And then I think about DHS, and I was like, that like we are so far removed from that reality that
DHS students are getting hyped up because, man, we were chanting, we want a half day, and they couldn't control us.
Yeah,
like,
and then
what did we need to control? We just needed to let you stop so you can go to your class because most of you were all worried about your chemistry test.
Yeah. AP Chem, and micro. Everyone was crazy about that, and the fact that there's literally a clause that you had to make because people wanted better grades. Like, I think I just can't get over that. That's so funny.
That tells you everything you need to know. The policy we needed to make was so kids could stop harassing teachers for how they could get even a better grade.
So while I have like quote unquote complained about DHS for the last hour-ish, I want you to know that I say all of this with fond memories because it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse. But yeah, now it is time, Mr. C, the incident. And the
chicken incident.
Yes, and I have a video.
One of the most confusing things that ever happened to me at school. Or it didn't happen to me. It just happened, and I was like, what is going on?
I need to start the segment by playing the video. March 15th, 2017. Okay.
Wow, okay. March 15th, 2017.
I think I was a sophomore. Yeah, I was a sophomore. And because I was really into, like, I still am into photography and recording things. I was just recording things all the time. And I had a feeling something was going to happen. And I just happened to start recording. So I wasn't in on this. I just felt like something was going to happen. So I started recording. I just want to preface that.
Sure.
Okay. Let's watch this video.
So I think the craziest thing, I don't even know if I don't know. I never spoke to them. But
it's so stupid.
So can I give like this was my view. So I'm up high in the bleachers at the time, and I noticed there's not much happening. It's a pep rally, and there's not much happening this time. And there's supposed to be a different segment, and then there's all of a sudden like it looks like there's a chicken on the on the gym floor. I'm like, what? And then I think I saw I think it was Sammy. I think I noticed Sammy kind of going around.
Oh, you name dropping him?
Oh, well, I think I just remember him doing this, and I think I saw him in the video as well, right? And I remember him going around. I was like, "Is that Sammy's chicken?"
Oh.
You know, like I was like, "What is that? What is going on?" And then all of a sudden, a bunch of kids rush the chicken, and they like rush the chicken, and someone goes to grab it, and they threw it up into the air, and people were like, "What is going on?" And so then we had to like clear the kids out of there.
Yeah.
And it was the strangest thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, this is why I said I don't know if people will really get it or be like, "What?" Like, it was kind of surreal. And then we had to. I was an AP at the time, and the principal. We had to call, I guess, seniors or groups. We had to call kids in.
Seniors. It was seniors.
Seniors. Yeah. We had to call the seniors in because it was supposed to be part of the senior prank, I guess. And then just talk to them about that and how it offended some people who were like worried about cruelty to animals and stuff like that. But I don't think the intention was ever to have the kids rush the chicken and throw it up. No. I don't actually know what they thought the outcome was going to be, or was it just that it was going to be funny that there was a chicken in the gym? I'm not really sure what the intention was. Yeah.
So I stopped recording because I was worried about the chicken. And do you remember the iconic speech? Oh, I love that teacher. But there was there's a teacher who was in charge of the pep rally at that time. And dude, these are words to live by because I still quote them to this day. Where it's like, I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. I enjoy a steak at Outback Steakhouse. She dropped name Outback Steakhouse. At Outback Steakhouse once in a while. But what happened here today is unacceptable. And with that, you are dismissed. And she like drops the mic and everyone is like, some people started clapping. Do you know, you know how ridiculous that is? That some people started clapping after she said that. And I was literally like, this is an alternate universe. I was like, this can't be real. Like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
Oh man, dude. I don't know.
Okay, so
life is rich and compelling.
Yeah. But let me tell you guys, I have here some text messages from the creators of the chicken incident who have kindly shared. Yeah, they were so nice to share their perspective on the situation.
Don't share their names. Don't share their names, please.
Oh, we're not name dropping.
Let them live anonymously in infamy.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I wish them the very best. And I hope I'm gonna stop talking. I don't know where I'm going with that. Okay. So there's a preface, there's a statement before they dive into the story. They say, I want to preface this by saying in hindsight, the idea wasn't very well thought through and nearsighted. As you know, someone else ended up adopting and caring for the chicken after the incident/prank. Okay. First plans for the idea were much bigger. We initially wanted it to be a goat, but it was logistically way too intense. First step, we needed to pick a good day, and even for this to even occur, and there was an upcoming pep rally we all decided was a great time. A friend that lived close to the farm purchased the chicken the day before and brought it home. I'm wondering where like they just bought a chicken from a farm. Like, where is this farm? You have to understand, like in Khobar, in Tehran, it's a cityscape. Like there's no farm around here. Okay. Like, where did they go? And they never answered my question, by the way. I'll just say that.
Go ahead. And please continue.
I fed it some seeds that the friend brought, and I gave it some water for the night. My mother was totally unaware of this, and I actually only told her about this a few months ago. This person is turning 25 this year. Just an FYI. Okay. I had another friend bring me a large brown box so we could transport the chicken inside the school past security. With a heart rate of about 180 BPM, I walked up to the gate. I walked up to the gate and alleged to have supplies for a project in the box and waltzed by. Once inside, I was greeted by the handful of people who were aware of what was actually about to happen. We walked up the road on the perimeter of the campus to the back side of the auditorium. So there's like this small door in the auditorium area where you can enter from like the entry. Anyways. So, and then it's like also secluded back there. There's like a wall that kind of blocks people's vision from looking on what's happening in that corner. And we left it in its cage for the next hour before the pep rally. Then, as we were told to make our way to the gym, a friend and I went to the chicken. Took it from its cage and released it behind whatever teacher was currently giving a speech. All of a sudden, as my friend and I snuck our way into the crowd and the chaos, someone from the tech team played the chicken song. And this is the funniest part, because the two people that messaged me about the story, neither of them knew who started playing the chicken song. To this day, they don't know who played.
So that wasn't part of the plan.
That wasn't part of the plan at all. So they don't know who played the chicken song.
Some guy from the tech team probably saw the chicken and was like, "Oh." He's like, "I'm gonna get in on this."
How amazing is that? That's some great improv skill. Okay?
I don't know. It all came together. Go ahead. So continue.
And then this is what he says. To this day, I don't know who was in charge of it, how they found out, or if they're just super quick thinkers and just went with it about the music.
Yeah.
Afterwards, when it was found out that I was responsible, I had a chat with Mr. C about it, and I was made aware of the short-sightedness of the whole thing. I regret not planning ahead for the aftercare of the animal, and I also regret that it got a little too crowded during the whole thing. However, I also feel like if it was handled more maturely by myself, it would have been a totally harmless yet really fun prank, and I don't think it will ever be topped unless someone actually manages to bring a goat to the campus. And yeah, that's a little play-by-play of how it happened. As you can see, I needed a lot of help, but I was also very childishly naive, but we were children back then, so I think I'm pardoned and have learned from it.
So they didn't really know what was going to happen. They were just like, we're just going to release a chicken. It was literally just...
This was, hey bro, we should totally just like bring a chicken to campus and then like see what happens. Like that was probably what happened. And then, so this is someone, the other person, okay?
Yeah.
They said, this is what he remembers you saying after the incident when you started talking to all of the senior class. You said, if no one confesses, no one is walking on graduation. And no one snitched apparently, but some groups in the grade were trying to figure it out and they figured out who did it. So then the people were called to the office. And I remember after it, Mr. C was like, "Is that all you got?" Referring to the prank.
Well, that's what I had to be the messenger. Like, I remember, because I think the teacher was so upset.
Yeah.
Then the principal got upset. And so the principal was like, "Man, if we don't get anybody, then I don't mind not having these kids walk during graduation and stuff like that." So I'm like, okay, which quite honestly, I kind of thought was a hollow threat. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. It's a 99% graduated.
There's no way we're going to keep the entire senior class from walking because of a chicken. But yeah, I mean, you got to have some kind of sense of humor about these things a little bit. Yeah.
So I asked them, I said, "Did you believe them when they said they weren't going to let you walk?" And it's just no.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a ridiculous thing.
Everybody in the room knows that threat is the emptiest thing ever. Do you remember what happened with the kid who threw the chicken?
I remember I think he got actually in the most trouble. I feel like he did, but he was a younger kid. He wasn't, if I remember correctly, he wasn't a senior. Grade. Yeah.
10th grade.
He just went up, grabbed and he didn't even understand why he threw the chicken.
If you watch the video, that person throws the chicken and starts jumping up in glee because they're just so excited to be a part of it. Like, if you actually study their body language, they're just trying to have a good time. And I actually knew of the person until I graduated. And by the time that they graduated, they were a completely different person. Like, that incident really changed them because of how, like, embarrassing, I guess it was, or how, like, you know, regretful the situation was. But I know that person definitely took that incident in and had to make conscious choices after that.
Yeah, sadly, I was more like, I mean, I was not so upset. I was more baffled by the whole thing, right? But the you know, at the time, my boss at the time and the teachers at the time were really upset, and and I knew that kid wasn't trying to like hurt that chicken, just like, why? What are you doing?
Nice,
like, you know, but
this nice little Asian kid.
Yeah. So,
but I just remember that incident happening and being like, I hope my grade doesn't do a stupid prank like that. But yeah, guys, that was the chicken incident, long awaited DHS day. This is a long one, Mr. C. This is a very
it
long.
is. You're gonna have to break this up. You're gonna have to break this up into chunks.
I gotta chunk it up.
But I will say, man, I miss DHS a whole lot, man. I mean, you know, we have a great school, ASD, is they combine the high school and the middle school, elementary. They combine that together, and they made, you know, ASD, the school, American School Dafron. But man, I really loved DHS. I really loved it. I loved working there, and I have nothing but good memories. Oh, I mean, there's some bad memories, but really, mostly it's all. Man, a lot of gratitude. Some great kids came through. Even the kids who caused some trouble. It was good. It was cool.
It's such a. Unless you were there, you have no idea. Like, I really don't know how to explain it any other way. Unless you were there, you had to be there. You had to be there to experience it. And I think we would tend to romanticize the past a lot. Obviously, we're human, but sometimes, man, they were just good times. They're just funny, ridiculous. Because it's, like we said, it's just private school, dumb, smart kid behavior.
For sure. That's a very good way of putting it, right? And man, and I hope people just knew that all I wanted was the best for folks, and all I ever wanted was I just really. It was a lot of impressive kids, man, who I always thought could do great things, and I just want everybody to be the best version of themselves if they could be, and that's hard, even as an adult, right? So
sometimes I do get scared though that they are the engineers and doctors and lawyers of my of our generation, and
they're fine now. They're fine now. You can't judge a person or who they're going to be their entire life, but who they were when they were 16, 17.
It's true, right? It's true, but you know, even I don't trust their LinkedIn photos. You can have a nice suit on and a great lighting, but I remember you in high school. I remember you.
It's all good.
It's fine. I'm joking. But thank you guys for joining us. We hope you had a good time. Even if you weren't from DHS, I hope you guys still stuck around. Thank you for joining us. I was your host, Noor Sultan.
I'm Ronnie Caldwell, Mr. C.
Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.